going on, guys? R30 tour book. Look, they have a sense of humor. They know. One-legged hop. Come on, guys. One-legged hop across stage. Do it. R30 tour. In 2004, Rush celebrated its 30th anniversary with the R30 tour, performing 57 shows in 8 countries. The jaunt included the band's first return to Europe in 12 years, with inaugural visits to the Czech Republic and Italy. Geddy on stage in Milan. Grazie, I'm sorry I don't speak Italian. I'm sorry it took us so long to come here to Italy, but we're here now. The tour also featured Rush's first concerts at Radio City Music Hall since 1983, as well as debut appearances at the Hollywood Bowl, as well as Red Rocks and Morrison, Colorado. One of the final shows in Frankfurt, Germany was filmed and later released DVD R30, right? Shows open with the R30 Overture, a 6-song medley of instrumental themes from various classic Rush songs, accompanied by an all-new CG presentation combining images from many of the studio albums, commingled with photos of the band throughout the years, and culminating in a clip of actor Jerry Stiller waking up from a dream to urge the band to take the stage. The visuals were created by Geddy's brother, Alan. Yeah, Alan. All right, Alan. R30 kind of started the whole thing with the animated opening, Alan explained. Geddy liked it, but thought it was too serious, and he came up with this idea to have someone wake up out of a dream. The first concept was actually to have a stoner wake up and say, hey man, what was that? We started kicking around all these names, and in the end we got Jerry Stiller. We had to fly to New York to film Stiller in the Trump Hotel, waking up from his bad dream with a tight Rush t-shirt. We got him jumping up and down with power poses, and then he goes to the bed and pretends to fall asleep as Dale Hazlitt whistled Closer to the Heart for the ending. Also included in the set list were live debuts of The Seeker, Heart Full of Soul, Summertime Blues, and Crossroads, all of which were featured on Feedback, a collection of cover tunes. Rush's first since their 1973 debut, Not Fade Away. When we put this 30th anniversary tour together, we realized that we didn't have enough time to do a proper studio album, Geddy explained. A friend of mine suggested, well, maybe you guys should dip into your past. Play some songs you used to play when you were in your formative years. Just record them quickly for fun, not to overthink it, and just put out a little EP to celebrate where you were as opposed to where you are. We thought it might be a way to juice us before the tour, so that's what we did. And that's definitely that's how it came off. That's how Feedback sounded. That's how it came off. I liked it. I like Feedback. I thought it was cool. And it sounded that way. It did sound like this was them just having a good time. This is easy for them. Something just simple that they could throw together. Totally sounds exactly like what they were going after. So that's cool. It's great when an idea and a plan comes together like that. Neil recalled, we called the project Feedback because when Geddy and Alex were working on demos, they decided to have feedback and backwards guitars on every song. The set list remained the same throughout the tour. The first time this had occurred since the Hold Your Fire track, Between the Wheels, was played for the first time since 1985 Spring Training Jaunt. Grand Finale was added to the 2112 Overture Temples of Syrinx medley, and Working Man concluded with a reggae ending. Neil's drum solo, which always continued to evolve, included the triggered big band sample of 1 O'Clock Jump, which he had performed with the Buddy Rich Band on Burning for Buddy Volume 2. As he'd done with previous solos, Neil allowed room in certain sections for syncopated improvisation. Every album was represented in the R30 set list save for Presto, although a snippet of Scars was heard during Neil's solo. Rush performed to 418,969 fans during the North American legs of the R30 tour and over 535,000 fans in total. Trek grossed $21 million, exceeding other big rock tours of the year like Kiss and Ozfest. Wow. We've carved ourselves our own little niche in the music world. It's always been like that, Alex told Flint Journal. All right. Okay, first show, Tennessee, Antioch, Tennessee. Starwood Amphitheater, May 26, 2004. Opening day of the R30 tour. Day's soundcheck is a long one with Resist, Heart Full of Soul, Summertime Blues, and The Seeker, parts of Red Sector A, and the R30 Overture all performed. That is more than normally they did 4 songs, they said, right? So yeah, producer Peter Collins visited with the band in the afternoon. He and Alex fly model airplanes together. True to form, Lurks crashes 2 of them. Geddy played the wrong keyboard melody in Subdivisions, and there was a minor train wreck during Earthshine. Oh boy. Getty on stage. If you hear any mistakes, please ignore them. Neil says the hardest show of the tour is always the first one, with all the preparation it takes to bring everything to that point of readiness and the pressure of actually doing it just once in front of an audience. The first stage in many ways was the final stage. After that, no matter how difficult it was to perform at that level every night, it could never be as uncertain or as exciting as the first show. First show went very well. Everything seemed to work, including me. Getty on stage, Virginia Beach, May 29th. For those of you who've been around us a while, it means that you're getting older too. We're not alone. Yeesh. Indiana, June 4th. Alex was a little frustrated with his stage sound, delivering gestures to the sound crew to correct it. Oh boy, that sucks. Damn. June 8th, Clarkston, Michigan. Getty played the entire show with strep throat, though it didn't hinder his performance. Jesus. Cuyahoga Falls, Ohio, June 10th. The Plain Dealer, whatever newspaper. Rush stands the test of time. Fortunately, as the ultimate Rush tribute act, they're still good for a Rush. It's what happens with these older bands is that, and I'm not saying that this is the case for Rush, especially not at this period, but, you know, it's like they kind of turn into tribute bands. I don't, he shouldn't have said that. I don't think that that's accurate for Rush, because it's literally all three original, like, everybody's there. If they were to go on tour now without Neil, which they may, who knows what they're going to do. Who knows what they're going to do. I feel like they may. I don't know how I feel about that. I don't know that I like that idea. Like, for instance, like, I grew up listening to Pantera, and Pantera right now is out with Charlie Benanti and Zakk Wylde, and I'm kind of like, I mean, I'm not going to specifically go and see them because I saw the real thing, but I don't know how I feel about that. I'm just not crazy about that. But these guys are not a tribute act in any way, shape, or form on these tours. Like, no way. That's the band. You're not seeing a tribute act. So while I get the sentiment, because there are lots of bands where it's like, oh, they only have one or two original members, and the rest are just like hired people, or, you know, like new people, things like that. That I can understand, where it's like, okay, this is kind of like, you know, your highest paid tribute act to that music. I know that's not fully fair, but it kind of, I get it. I definitely get it. These guys, though, this is no tribute. Ridgefield, Washington, July 3rd. Brad Maddox, front of house sound engineer. Getty had 2 dryers and a vending machine. He filled that thing with bobbleheads and little balls and stuff that he picked up. He had this logic to it where everything was in the vending machine as it went around. It was some kind of hierarchy to it. He moved stuff around in there. I remember in Seattle he found a knick-knack store and bought bags of dolls and bobbleheads and things, and up to that point we had been stuffing random stuff in it. But in Seattle, we held the doors while he rearranged the vending machine. He was so into it. He was so excited. It was more important than sound check to get stuff arranged in the vending machine just so. Something got into his head about how these things had to be arranged in this thing, and he was not going to stop until he was done. Sacramento Bee, Wheatland, California, July 12th. Sacramento Bee, Rush at 30, oldies but goodies. Peart could have been Keith Moon's straight-faced older brother, the one who took his drum lessons seriously instead of passing the time with horse tranquilizers. Shit. July 16th, Phoenix, Arizona. Lauren Gump Wheaton, right? Neil's drum tech, says, there are times when equipment fails and you have to be out there far too long on the stage trying to fix something. For other people that can be funny, but at the time you aren't exactly laughing your ass off. I've changed bass drum pedals in the middle of a song on the R30 kit. They gold plated anything that was metal in 14 karat gold. Once you plate something, it goes into such a heat for the plating process that it breaks down the energy in the metal. So little things like bass drum pedal springs and stuff like that, they just plated the whole thing. It all looked beautiful, but a few nights into the tour, things started falling apart. That's a wreck. One night in Phoenix, the main spring on his right foot pedal snapped and that pedal went dead, so all he had was the slave pedal. He really is a very talented drummer, but something like that can really throw you off. All of a sudden, he had to start playing the bass drum with his left foot and close the hi-hats so they weren't sloshing around, so that he could keep some kind of pattern going. So I crawled up in there, disconnected the slave pedal from the main pedal, ripped the main pedal out, put the new one in, connected it to the slave, and all this was in the middle of a song. I think they might have been playing bravado or something like that. We managed to do it, but then I got stuck in between all the hardware. One of the audio guys had to run out there and pull me out by my feet. That was a little embarrassing. Jesus. Yeah, and especially a guy like Neil, like he's not improvising like that. He's very much, you know, like as he says, he's like he could play the parts without hearing the other two guys at all. Like he just knows, so it's so much muscle memory, right? He just knows. So for something like that to happen, you have to improvise. You better improvise, but you're also like improvising with your limbs. You're like, wait a minute, my kick is normally here, but now it's here, and oh god, what a wreck. That's a, I mean, you know, I wonder if they did that go play thing ever again. Maybe they did. They're probably like, well, I got Lauren, so. August 14th, Homedale, New Jersey. Geddy suggested rehearsing closer to the Hart and soundcheck in preparation performing it in Europe, but Neil rejected the idea of adding to the set without dropping something. Listen, Geddy, I'm not playing another minute. We're dropping something if you're adding something. That's just how it goes. We have contracts. I'm sticking to it. I don't get paid enough. That's it. Very cool. Yep. So R30. That's it. That is it. Awesome. Thank you guys. Catch you in the next video.